Geronimo Stilton, The Sticky Situation. Dear mouse friends, welcome to the world of Geronimo Stilton. The Rodents Gazette editorial staff. Geronimo Stilton, The Sticky Situation. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Spring had officially sprung in New Mouse City, the capital of Mouse Island, and it was Friday, so I was in a rat-tastic mood. My name was Stilton, Geronimo Stilton, and I'm the editor-in-chief of the Rodents Gazette, the most famous newspaper on Mouse Island. Finally, the weekend was here, and my vacation was starting. I couldn't wait to enjoy a well-deserved break. I had been working my tail off. I left the office and walked to my bicycle, happily whistling a tune. My backpack had everything I needed, including my lucky plaid shirt. It's the one I always wear when I spend time in the country. I was headed to the most mouse-perfect place in the whole world, the Stilton family farm. Ah, the country. I love Stilton Farm. I got on my bike singing. There's nowhere with more charm than the delightful Stilton Farm. How I do love the country. Life moves so slowly. I can't wait to snack on cheeses while I enjoy nice cool breezes. Oh, Stilton Farm, how I love you. Doo-dee-doo, doo-dee-doo. This is the route I take to Stilton Farm. I arrived in the afternoon and pedaled through the front gate up to the farmhouse, the front door. Had there ever been a lovelier spot? The sun gleamed bright above me, and there wasn't a cloud in the sky. Birds chirped in trees, chickens clucked outside the henhouse, cows grazed in a nearby field. What a beautiful day! Everyone in the Stilton family is welcome to use this farm whenever they want. Tonight, we were going to have a big party to celebrate the beginning of spring. I was looking forward to seeing all my favorite rodents, but also enjoying a little peace and quiet before they arrived. As I pedaled closer towards the house, some horses galloped towards me. A donkey joined them, staring at me with his sweet eyes. I was so happy the animals recognized me. I waved to all of them with my paw. Hello, friends. I slowed to the stop of the front door, dug through my bag for my keys. Just as I was about to turn the doorknob, I felt a sharp pain in my tail. Ouch! Sweet smell of success. I checked my tail. I'm very fond of my tail. And I realized a bee had stung me. I threw open the door and ran inside screaming, squeak! I closed the door, breathed a sigh of relief, and went to put a bandage on my tail. Geronimo! Someone cried. Moldy mozzarella sticks? I was so surprised. I almost dropped my first aid appointment. It was my cousin Trap. Are you hurt? Did a bee sting you? What in the name of sliced good are you doing here? I cried. Trap sighed. Didn't you read my text? I certainly did not, I said. Trap looked down at his phone and chuckled. I'm so silly. I accidentally texted my friend Geraldo Stiltony instead of you. What a chitterhead. But Trap just shrugged. Oh well, my text was just to let you know to be careful because the farm has a lot of bees flying around right now. I patted my tender tail. Yeah, I guessed I found out the hard way. You can say that again, Geronimo. Trap enthusiastically patted my back. A bit too enthusiastically. I pitched forwards and almost fell on my snout. Careful, Trap, I said. My tail is still sore. I regained my balance and peered more closely at the sting. What are you doing here early anyway? I had a nice quiet afternoon planned for myself. Nice and quiet is overrated, Trap exclaimed. I have been working on a special surprise for you. And now I'm finally ready to show you what it is. Trap paused dramatically and wiggled his eyebrows at me. I stared back at him. Go ahead, ask me what the surprise is, Trap said eagerly. I crossed my paws in front of my chest and rolled my eyes. Fine, Trap, what is your surprise? Did I even want to know? Drum roll, please. Trap started to play a pretend drum set with his paws. When I didn't join in, he stopped and darted over to the large living room closet. He winked, a mischievous look on his snout. Get ready to thank me, Geronimo, as today we will have a brand new product available at the farm. It's a beekeeper's suit, of course. We're going to have honey on the farm. My mouth dropped open. Don't worry, I have one for you too, Trap cried, pulling out a second suit out of the closet. I love eating honey, so I decided we should also make it. You can be my assistant, Geronimo. Trap danced over to my way and handed me a second beekeeper suit. Quick, go change, and I'll show you around. I groaned but took the suit and went to put it on. I would never hear the end of it. I didn't at least go take a look. I just hoped I wouldn't get stung again. Squeak, my poor tail. Trap rubbed his paws together. Once we produced enough all-natural honey, we can sell it in town. Maybe we can call it Stilton Farm's famous honey. Famous, I said. No one knows about it yet. Don't be such a worry rat, Geronimo. Pretty soon, every rodent on Mouse Island will be lining up for our honey. Just you wait and see. I shook my snout. I don't know about that, Trap. But Trap didn't seem to hear me. His eyes glowed with excitement, like two balls of fresh mozzarella. Once the honey starts selling, we can take the Stilton farm to the next level and build a greenhouse. That way we can grow vegetables all year round. I could see that Trap was getting carried away. But once he has an idea, there's usually no way stopping him. Quick, go change your clothes. The bees wait for no mouse, Trap cried, pushing me towards the bathroom. Soon the sun will be setting and the bees will want to go to sleep. We don't want them to get anxious. Anxious bees? What in the world was Trap going on about? Would anxious bees be more likely to sting me? Squeak! We better shake our tails and get going. I rushed to change, and Trap told me all about bees. Sweet hive, sweet hive. Trap pointed to 10 brightly colored wooden boxes, all in a line. These are the beehives. This is where the bees make their honey. I stepped forward to get a closer look. I looked and tripped over my tail. Suddenly, The movement must have upset the bees. They started buzzing more loudly and swirling around me. "Stay calm," Trap shouted. "Don't move or you'll make things worse." I stood up slowly and stayed perfectly still. The bees stopped swirling around me and headed back to their hives. Trap didn't seem to notice how scared I had been. He clapped his paws together. "Let's get to work. First, we'll make a list of everything you'll need to do." This didn't sound good, but I got out some pencil and paper. Item 1, Geronimo will clear leaves and branches from the paths to collect beehives. Item 2, Geronimo will collect honey from the hives. He ducked inside a wooden shack and waved for me to follow him. Item 3, Geronimo will fill these jars with honey and label them. "Wait!" I squeaked angry. "Why do I have to do everything?" Trap just laughed. "You actually have to do the easy squeezy jobs. I'm the one who has been doing all the bee research and setting everything up." Trap turned towards the shack, lost his balance. He tripped accidentally, pulled off the tablecloth off the table, sending full jars of honey crashing to the ground. He whirled around in the attempt to catch some of the jars and knocked into me. I went flying, paws off my snout, and landed in a puddle of super sticky honey. When I got up, I was covered from the tip of my ears to the tip of my tail. Then the wind gusted, sticking leaves all over me. Oh no, I couldn't see anything, but I heard a loud buzzing noise coming closer and coming closer. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The bees were getting anxious again. I staggered out of the honey shack and tried to peel the leaves off my snout, but smash! My paw hit the corner of one of the beehives. Crashed, the roof flew off, and more bees zoomed out to see what was going on. They swarmed around me, attracted by the smell of all the honey stuck in my fur. Behind me, Trap ran out of the honey shack. I thought he would distract the bees, but he just kept running. "I'm getting out of here, Geronimo," he shouted. Ranting ricotta, I started running too. Before I knew it, I had reached the end of the farm. There was Stilton Pond. I picked up a speed and launched myself into the pond with an enormous splash. I held my breath for as long as I could possibly stand. When I finally poked my snout back over the water, the bees were gone. I was safe. Be mine. As soon as I got out of the pond, I started walking back towards the Stilton farm. The sun was setting and it was getting colder. I started to walk faster, but then I noticed something strange. Out of the corner of my eye, a tall concrete cube rose into the sky. Workers in construction hats scrambled around, lifting tall cranes, lifting equipment up to the roof. My snout dropped in awe. What in the name of shredded cheddar was this mysterious new building? Some of the workers were attaching an enormous sign to the front of the building. I crept forward, trying to figure out what it said. A long line of yellow and black trucks came in and out of the strange building. What were they picking something up, dropping it off? The workers had finally finished the sign, and I got a good look at it. Be mine, all natural honey. Trap won't be happy about this. We had competition now. Big competition. By the looks of that building, but where were the bees going to make the honey. It didn't seem like they had any trees, flowers, or wildlife to support a massive honey production like that. I was on my way back to Stilton Farm and another building caught my eyes. Unlike the honey factory, this building was tiny, surrounded by beautiful white flowers. It looked something out of a fairy tale. How fabulous! I wondered who lived inside. The sign out front said, Golden Drop Lodge, organic Manuka honey for sale. Manuka, I said out loud. I didn't know what that word meant, but I wanted to find out. A little old lady mouse came through the yard and set down the flowers she had been carrying and waved a paw in my direction. Hello, dear, she called. Is everything okay? I suddenly realized I looked like a mess. My beekeeper's suit was torn and covered in mud. The bees had stung me everywhere. Crusty cheese niblets. No wonder, she sounded concerned. Oh, no, thank you, I said sheepishly. It looks worse than it is. I turned to go, but the rodent wouldn't take no for an answer. Come with me. Have just the thing for those bee stings. I shrugged and followed her into the house. In her kitchen, she examined my injuries. You're in good paws. My name is Meline Goldendrop, and I'm a bee expert. A sweet story, a bee expert. How marvelous! I had a million questions, but before I could squeak, the door opened, and another old rodent came in. This is my husband, Alphine, she said. I'm sorry, but I didn't get your name yet. Alphine just smiled. No introductions needed. This is the famous Geronimo Stilton, big chief at the Rodents Gazette. He grabbed my paw and shook it up and down. Pleased to have you at my home, he said. I blushed, my fern turning rosy. But enough chit-chat, Alphine continued. You're soaking wet. Let me lend you some dry clothes. He opened a nearby closet and pulled out something for me to wear. After I changed my clothes, we sat down to drink sage and peppermint herbal tea. Sweetened with honey, Meline had also set out a tray of warm cherry biscuits, my favorite. In between bites of biscuit, I asked Meline and Alphine about the sign in the front. What exactly is Manuka honey, and what makes it different from other honey? Manuka is a plant that grows in New Zealand and Australia, Meline explained. We grow the plant here to make and sell our own Manuka honey to local rodents. It's what I use in the tea. Try it on the biscuit. It's so good. And it's good for you. Then Alphine and Meline told me about how they got started in the honey business. Alphine and Meline Goldendrop's story. When we got married many years ago, we were young and adventurous. We loved wildlife and nature. We decided we could go to New Zealand in our honeymoon because the countryside is so marvelous. We slept outside in a tent, and in the morning we watched the sun rise behind beautiful wooded hills. One day when we were walking on a trail in the woods, we saw an incredible field of beautiful flowers. It looked just like snow and smelled deliciously sweet. Not far from there was a farm where they produced a delightful honey. The owner of the farm told us that the flowers we had seen were called manuka, and he used them to produce a special kind of honey. We ended up spending a whole year in New Zealand studying bees and learning about honey production. When we returned to Mouse Island, we built this little house. We decided to plant manuka flowers as a symbol of our love. We've been living here ever since, making honey with the same passion and joy as the very first time we tasted it. What a great story! I exclaimed when they finished. You know, we were actually just starting to make honey over at the Stilton farm, I said. I could see them glance at my bee stings, and they exchanged looks. You must let us help you, Meline said. I shook my snout, but Alphine insisted. We got help all those years ago, and we'd love to pass it on. Let's start it now. He leapt to his paws and began to enthusiastically describe all the different types of honey. Squeak! I hope I'm not over in my snout. Royal bees. After tea, my two new friends drove me back to the Stilton farm in their van. By the time we got there, it was already evening, and as we pulled in, I insisted that Alphine and Meline stayed for dinner. We'd love to, Meline said. While I had gone, the rest of the Stilton family vacation party had all arrived. My nephew Benjamin and my niece Trappy were there. My sister Thea, my aunt Sweetfur, and my grandfather William. Some of my other friends had arrived too. A fire roared in the fireplace, and Trap stood at the stove, stirring his famous creamy cheese panella. Yum! Alphine and Meline helped me put dishes of food on the table. As I explained to Trap how they were going to help us with our beekeeping. All of a sudden, Meline and her husband were quiet as mice. I felt my fur go cold. Holy cheese! Had they changed their minds? Alphine cleared his throat. We're getting older and caring for our bees has gotten more difficult. We're ready to take a break, so we'd like to give you our hives and manuka plants so you can keep the tradition going. That's Incredimouse, I cried. Thank you so much. Whoopee! Trap hollered. We both hugged Alphine and Meline. We're going to teach you everything we know, Meline said. You'll be making the best honey on Mouse Island in no time. Yum! Amazing! This panella looks delicious. All done. Look over here. Almost ready. Thank you, Aunt Sweetfur. The next morning, Meline and Alphine brought over their beehives. They showed us the best place to put their hives and helped us plant new trees so the bees could produce different types of honey. Finally, they brought the manuka plants and we planted them together. Meline grabbed my paw. We're so excited to think after all these years, the manuka seeds we brought with us are still bearing fruit. And they will continue to sow in the future for many more generations of rodents. Take good care of our bees. Alphine said. I put my paw over my heart. We will treat them like royalty. Cross my heart. Next to me, Creepella sighed dreamily. What a romantic story they have, she said. Her gaze swept over all the work we had just done. This would be the most beautiful spot for someone to get married. You could have white manuka flower bouquets and a cheddar cake with flavored icing. She grinned at me. Squeak! I got out of there as quickly as I could. Sorry, Creepel, I have to go. I have lots of cheese on my plate right now. The bees need me. I jogged away as fast as my paws could carry me. How to replant a seedling. Pick the right time and day. Choose a time of day that's not too hot or sunny, like early morning. Dig a hole. Make a hole in the soil for your seedling. The hole should be twice as wide as the root ball. Carefully take out your seedling out of its pot and gently loosen the root ball. Plant the seedling. Place your seedling in the ground and loosely fit in the hole with the dirt. Gently pour water over your seedling and enjoy watching your seedling grow. A sticky situation. After the weekend, my family and friends returned to New Mouse City, but the vacation was just getting started. Trap's big plans for honey business underway. My holiday was less relaxing than I thought it would be, but also even more fun. I actually love taking care of the bees. Malene and Alphine came by regularly to help Trap and me with the hives. Soon enough, our new bees had produced enough honey for us to start filling up jars. We couldn't wait for other rodents to taste it. In the meantime, Beemine was becoming more popular and popular on New Mouse Island. The Mystery Mouse Company had advertisements everywhere. I couldn't turn the TV or radio without hearing their honey. Then the bus ads started cropping up. I was even getting emails about it. Rodents were buying bottles of it. This was turning into a real sticky situation. Who would buy our honey if all they ever heard was Beemine? How could only one honey company spend so much money on advertising? When I first started seeing the TV ads, I suggested to Alphine and Malene we should buy some of our own, but they just shook their snouts. Good honey doesn't need flashy advertising, Alphine said. Just concentrate on creating the best possible product, and the honey will sell itself. Trap and I had doubts, but Malene had me assured that the word of snout was all we needed. You'll see once we take your honey to the sweet taste of Mouse Island honey competition, you won't be able to keep up with the demand. I hope she was right. With the help we were preparing for the Mouse Island's most famous honey contest and planning visits to all the big Newmount City supermarkets to pitch our honey. If stores like it, they would sell it to their customers. All our friends helped us out. Bruce Hyena volunteered to drive our honey around Newmount City. Thea took on the job of convincing store managers to give us a chance on their shelves. Trap baked up a storm, creating new recipes that featured our delicious honey. Shortly after all this work, rodents would stop buying so much bee-man and start picking up Stilton Farm instead. You need tummy fix. Stilton Farm honey was getting more and more popular. Slowly, word of snout did seem to be helping to build sales. Trap and I felt ready for the sweet taste of Mouse Island honey competition. We were excited to have a special Manuka honey judged by a team of expert rodents. It was hard to be happy about our progress because something strange was happening around town. All of a sudden, many Mouse Island residents were complaining about stomach aches. What was going on? And even though our honey was becoming more and more popular, bee-mine was still very popular. Rodents across the city seemed to be eating it for breakfast, lunch and dinner. On my way back from pitching Stilton Farm honey to a gourmet food store, I heard a truck go by playing a familiar jingle. Tummy troubles? Don't get sad. Get tummy fix. Tummy fix? Where had I heard that before? Suddenly I realized tummy fix was everywhere. On the truck, on the pharmacy window, on the billboards. I darted into the pharmacy and pushed my way into the front of my line. Excuse me, I asked, ignoring the line of grumpy rodents behind me. What is this tummy fix I heard about so much? The pharmacist explained that it was a new, super effective medicine for stomach trouble. Every mouse here is waiting for the next delivery, he explained. I thanked him and stepped back outside. I rubbed my snout in confusion. Maybe there was some sort of very contagious stomach flu going on. This sure seemed like something I should look in for Rodent's Gazette article. And the winner is... And I was technically still on vacation, but this could be a catastrophe in the making. A news waits for no mouse. I hopped on my bike and headed back to the Stilton Farm. As soon as Trap and I were finished preparing the sweet taste of Mouse Island, I would look into the stomach problems that seemed affecting everyone in the city. But for now, I had a trophy to win. The following day, Bruce Hyena, Alphine, and Melanie helped Trap and me load up our van with Stilton Farm honey. In addition to having our honey judged, we had the opportunity to sell it to the crowds of the rodents attending to the festival. This could be a big break, Geronimo, Trap cried, hopping in the seat next to Bruce. I hope so, I said, buckling my seatbelt. I couldn't help myself. I was excited. Behind us, Alphine and Melanie climbed into the car. They're going to follow us to the festival and help cheer us on. I couldn't wait to get there. And the winner is... When we got to the contest location, all the judges were getting ready to taste different types of honey. We added ours to the table, making sure to cover the Stilton farm labels. So all the jars had to be disguised so that the judges wouldn't know whose honey was whose. Paws crossed, I whispered to Trap. We watched as the judges started to taste all the participants' honey. This one's good. But this one's better, don't you think? This one's not very sweet. This one might be my favorite. Yuck. As the judges tasted every mouse's honey, Trap and I set up a small table to sell our jars. We worked our tails off, but holy cheese, it was going well. We had just sold our last jar of honey when we saw the judges rise to make an announcement. We are ready to declare our winner, the head judge said. The winning honey was unlike anything we have ever tasted. It was truly fabulous. The winner is, the judge peeled off the sticker covering the label, Stilton Farm, thundering cattails. We did it. Trap and I cheered. Everyone clapped for us as we walked to claim our prize. Thank you so much for selecting Stilton Farm. I would like to accept this prize on the behalf of the whole Stilton family, I said, and all the rodents in the audience clapped again, and a grin spread across my snout. I'd also like to give a big thank you to Malene and Alphine Goldendrop, fabulous beekeepers, for teaching Trap and me everything we needed to know about honey. I stepped away with our award. A judge pulled me aside. He shook my paw. You're really marvelous honey, Stilton. You could taste the love and care you put into it. I blushed. Not like that bee mine, the judge continued. I don't know why it's been so popular recently. He shook his snout and headed back to his fellow judges. Just then I felt something brush my side. I whirled around, but there was no one there. Instead, there was a note sticking out of my pocket. Dear Mr. Stilton, interested in selling your farm? We're making an offer you can't refuse. Please contact Mystery Mouse Buyer at mouseisland.com for more information. Blistering gobs of mozzarella. I'd never sell the farm. To be or not to be. The following day, I set out for a bike ride. There's nothing I like better than a ride around Stilton Farm in the fresh morning air. I hadn't got very far when I heard a strange buzzing sound coming from behind me. It sounded almost like bees, but no bees I have ever heard. I turned around to see what was making the noise. Oh, my fur stood on the end. Sweltering Swiss cheese. A large swarm of bees hovered over the ground. They shimmered strangely in the sunlight, almost like they were growing. Even the buzzing noise they made was high-pitched and tiny. Buzz, buzz, buzz. A cloud of bees rose up into the air and started to move towards me, rending vertical. I turned back around and pedaled faster. Every time I glanced over my shoulder, the bees were getting closer. They were definitely chasing me. When it just seemed like they might actually catch me, I heard a beeping sound. The bees immediately stopped in midair and turned around and flew where they came from. I flopped over my handlebars, tired and sweating, like a slice of cheese left out in the sun. Before I could catch my breath, I heard a car roll into a stop on the road. When I looked up, a very long leopard printed car with the dark tinted windows was idling in front of me. A black window slid down and a pointy snout appeared. The rodent wears similar dark glasses, but she looked strangely familiar. "Good morning, Stilton," she called. I'd recognize that voice anywhere. It was Madame No. "I get right to it," Madame No continued. "I have made an offer for you. I would like to buy your little farm. I'll take everything as it is, including your beehives. Just name your price." I twisted my paws and my tail. "I love the Stilton farm, and so do all my friends and family," I said. "I couldn't possibly." "Are you saying no to me?" Madame No interrupted. "Yes, no, I'm not interested in selling." I said, "Fine, but you'll regret saying no to Madame No, Stilton." She pressed a button inside the car, and the window slid back up. I shivered. What did she mean by that? And what does she want with Stilton Farm anyway? This isn't the first time she's tried to buy it from me. Madame No's car slowly drove away, then picked up speed, disappearing behind the first bend through the road, leaving me deep in thought. If Madame No's lurking around, there was something rotten going on. This whole situation stunk like old cream teeth. I pedaled my way back to the farm and thought about all the odd things that had been going on recently. And it all started with Stilton Farm's new neighbor, the bee mine factory. Then there had been a stomach flu outbreak in New Mouse City. Then there was those metallic bees. And then the appearance of Madame No herself and a request to buy Stilton Farm. I had to get to the bottom of these mysteries, and fast. Trapped like a rat. The day after my odd meeting with Madame No, things at the Stilton Farm got even stranger. Trap left for the day to take care of some errands in the city. When he was gone, I made myself a cheddar milkshake and decided to head outside to the hammock. My vacation was almost over. I needed to relax a little, but I didn't get very far. As soon as I poked my snout out of the front door, the strange buzzing sound from the day before started up, and a swarm of metallic bees charged up to the front door. Couldn't a rodent catch a break? Buzz, buzz. I tried to open the back door, thinking I'd be able to get away without them seeing me. But they had me surrounded. "Enough," I squeaked. I'd seen enough bees to last a lifetime. "Go away, leave me alone." I slumped down against the door, putting my snout in my paws. As I sat, I heard more buzzing, but this time they didn't sound like bees. I stood up and looked over the window. A small drone hovered above the ground, next to the swarm of metallic bees. "Have you had enough, Stilton? Can I take care of your little bee infestation problem?" First, you have to agree to sell me the farm. Madam No again. How had Madam No heard about my bee problem? Could I use the help? But there was no way I was going to sell the farm. She had gone too far. No way, Madam No, I yelled through the window. This farm is mine and I'm not selling it. I think you should really reconsider my offer while you can. Madam No called through the drone. Absolutely not. Then I gathered up all my courage. My family and I love this farm and we're not letting it go. Now please buzz off, I added. A sound of chuckling came through the drone. Very well, Stilton. I'll leave you to your bees, she hissed. Good luck with your problem. The drone rose high up in the sky and disappeared over the house. Relief washed over me. I had got rid of Madam No at least, but it was short-lived. Buzzing from outside had got louder, almost as it was coming in from inside the house. Moldy mozzarella! It was coming from inside the house. Hundreds of angry, buzzing bees came streaming out of the fireplace into my living room. They must have found a way through the chimney. How did they get so smart? I ran out to the door and slammed the door behind me, hoping to trap them inside. I wedged a chair against the door to make sure it stayed closed, and I raced to find my mouse phone. This bee problem had got out of control. I needed all paws on deck. The first rodent I called answered the phone right away. Hercules Portrait at your service, he said. Who better to solve a mystery of metallic bees than Newmount City's finest rodents? I had explained the strange things that had been happening at the farm, and as well as Madam No's recent threats. And to make things worse, I have a bee infestation. I added, I'm trapped in here. Please hurry. You called the right rodent, Geronimo. I'll come as soon as I can figure what disguise will best fool the bees. There's no time for that, I squeaked. Just come. I hung up the phone. The living room door rattled with the weight of the bees pressing against it. I could hear their angry buzzing. Gulp! Beecopter. I stood still by the window, waiting for Hercules until I heard a strange sound. Flap, flap, flap. A large and yellow shape came into view. It was a helicopter. The tail had been painted with stripes so that it didn't look like any old helicopter. It was a beecopter. The beecopter landed in a nearby field and a rodent jumped out. As the rodent got closer, I could see that it was Hercule. Hercule, I called through the window. What are you doing? Hercule hopped into my front door and did a twirl. I'm undercover, Hercule exclaimed as a bee. He continued when I still looked confused. Let me... And so he was. The small puffy suit he wore had black and yellow stripes, small wings, and even a realistic stinger. Let me in, Stilton, and let's get to work on your bee problem. Shh, I hissed. I don't want them to hear you. Shoo, the bees? Hercule asked. I think all the honey you've been hearing has gone through your head. I unlocked the front door and let Hercule inside. Anything to get him quiet. Don't worry, Geronimo. I have a bee suit for you too, said Hercule. He hoisted the suitcase he had brought with him on a chair. He unzipped it and pulled out a foam bee suit that was identical to the one he was wearing. I poked it with my paw, but if we look like bees, won't the bees want to follow us more? My whiskers quivered. It will be exactly the opposite, my dear Stilton, Hercule assured me. Bees don't bother other bees. And besides, the padding is so thick, we'll be protected from any stings. I poked the suit again. It did seem pretty safe. Hercule explained his plan to me while I got dressed. After we had our protective bee suits on, we'd release the metallic bees from my living room. Then we'd take the bee copter and follow them to wherever they came from. I'm afraid of heights, but getting a bee's eye view of the farm in Hercules' copter did sound like a good idea. You won't fly too high, right? I asked. Sure, Hercule said. Don't be a worry rat. Once you feel the wind in your antenna, you'll totally forget how much high off the ground you were. Squeak! Let's release the bees, Hercule said, wiggling his antenna. Approaching. Ready? He asked, approaching the living room door. Ready as I'll ever be, I guessed, I said. Hercule pushed the door wide open. Start buzzing like a bee, he said, and head for the copter. I buzzed and shook my stinger as I sprinted for the bee copter. Hercule jogged beside me, but a few of the strange bees tried to sting us. But quickly they lost interest and started to fly away. Hercule and I jumped into the bee copter and he started the engine. Hold your fur, Stilton, Hercule yelled, and we zoomed into the air. They're bee bots. We flew over to the Stilton Farms fields. The swarm in front of us zigged and zagged around trees and fences, and Hercule zigged and zagged the bee copter too. I felt my stomach do flips. Be careful, Hercule, I said. Don't worry, you're in good paws, Hercule said. We have to act like a bee to keep them from getting suspicious. I clutched my stomach as Hercule swooped up high and then down low again. Look, the bees are going into that square building again. I squinted into the distance but gasped. That's Bee Mine Factory, but was it? What was next to it? A small building I hadn't noticed before. The sign out front said Tummy Fix. Hercule shot the bee copter and landed it between a dumpster between Bee Mine and the Tummy Fix factory. I had never been so happy to be on solid ground. When I looked up, Hercule was standing inside one of those dumpsters. What are you doing? I hissed. Hercule jumped out of the box and held up slightly swished box. The labels on the outside said, Beatronic Synthetic Wings. I don't understand, I whispered, taking it. Hercule passed it to me. A troubleshoot guide to your robotic bees. Those are metallic bees. They aren't bees at all. They're robots. And we've got to get to the bottom of what's really happening at these two factories. He held up an empty box of tummy fix he had found in the same dumpster. Together we hid behind a stack of crates. As we waited, a large black and yellow truck pulled up outside the factory. The driver got out of the truck and pressed the intercom. Truck number 39 here, he called. A loud grounding noise followed, and the gate at the entrance began to roll up. This was our chance. Hercule and I crept closer and closer. As we neared the open truck bay, the strange metallic buzzing sounds of robotic bees could be heard. An angry voice of a truck driver also drifted out. What do you mean the boxes aren't ready yet? I had lots of deliveries to make. Can't these bee-bots work any faster? Bee-bots, Hercule and I repeated. Sharing a glance, we poked our snouts around the doorframe. Double twisted rat tails on toast. What we saw inside made our furs stand up. Inside the factory there were no bees, no flowers, no trees, no wooden beehives. Nothing resembling of the honey-making supplies we had over at Stilton Farm. Instead, the bee mine factory had only one giant metallic beehive around it. Thousands of bee-bots swarmed, and they looked exactly like the ones that had been harassing me, except there were many more of them. By the hive there was a sign said, Honey Machine 5000, property of Professor No. A honey machine. Let's be careful. To the left of the Honey Machine 5000 were containers marked as honey fragrance, honey color, thickening agent, and honey flavoring. The bee-bots worked diligently adding the ingredients to the metal hive and mixing them together into a big steel honeycombs. At the base of the machine was a golden liquid that was piped into honey jars and sent down an assembly of lines labeled. Honey coming out of the factory is not made by real bees, I whispered. It's not even real honey. It's some kind of sticky liquid that looks and smells like honey and it's fooling everyone. And selling it to unsuspecting rodents all over Mouse Island, Hercule said, frowning. A gray-haired rodent with a mean look on his snout walked around the machine, squeaking orders. He wore a crisp white lab coat and clutched a remote control. Professor No. Just then we heard another sound of a vehicle approaching the factory. Hercule and I crept behind the back of the dumpsters and waited to see who it is. Let me in, you cheddarheads. It is I, Madame No. She jammed her paw on the intercom button, over and over until we heard the gate open and saw her car zoom into view. I clutched my tail nervously. Now what we do? I cried. Let's be friends. While we were deciding what we should do, Hercule noticed a remote control with a broken antenna lying among the boxes. It looked like the one Professor No had been holding. A Beatronics remote. The remote that had a lot of buttons that controlled various parts of the honey-making machine. The last button made my snout go cold. Bebot attack. Geronimo Stilton, I read. But Hercule didn't seem to notice my alarm. He had pulled a tiny set of tools out from somewhere inside his bee suit and was tinkering with the remote. Finally, he straightened the antenna. That should do it, he said, pressing on the button with my name on it. Immediately, a swarm of bee-bots flew through the open factory door and headed right towards me. I closed my eyes and covered my snout with my paws, prepared for the worst. But all I felt was a few gentle bumps. Even the metallic buzzing seemed softer. I opened one eye to see Hercule grinning in delight. It worked. I changed the software. So the bees won't attack you anymore. Now they want to be best friends. I opened both eyes and saw that some of the bee-bots had landed on my head and shoulders. Hercule, you're a genius, I cheered. Just then, Madame No came around the corner and spotted us. That's Geronimo Stilton, she cried. Quick, sting him. But the bee-bots wouldn't try to sting me. Instead, they rose up in a cloud and moved back and forth in a formation like they're saying no. Madame No jumped up and down in a rage. Ungrateful bees, I have created you. You have to do what I say. Not anymore, Hercule said. I reprogrammed them. Now they're free to do whatever they want. Madame No howled in anger. The bee-bots had begun to buzz loudly and fly closer to Madame No. She grabbed her leopard print bag and swung it around her shoulders, hitting some of the bees. Listen to me, sting Stilton. She kept yelling, but the bee-bots weren't listening. Suddenly, the buzzing sounded angry, and Madame No's face turned as pale as mozzarella. Professor, she screamed, time to go. She ran for her car, and Professor No sprinted after her. I've had enough bees. Time to shut everything down. They heard her yell as the leopard print car zoomed out of the factory. Professor No hanging halfway out of one of the doors. Hercule cheered. The bee-bots buzzed happily. I guess we should take the bee-bots back to the farm with us. There's nothing for them here now. To the bee-copter, Hercule shouted. I found maybe I'll just walk. Don't be a worry rat, Geronimo. I'll go slowly this time. I promise. I groaned but followed Hercule into the computer and climbed in. I can't believe Madame No was making fake honey this whole time. No wonder everyone on the island had an upset stomach. They're eating bad honey and getting sick, I said as the bee copter lifted into the air. We passed over the tummy fix factory and I gasped. Of course, Madame No must have also built the tummy fix factory right here. So she was tricking rodents into buying fake honey so that they'd get sick and she could sell her stomach cure. Hercule shook his snout. Unbelievable, he said. Don't you mean unbelievable? I said. I chuckled, but Hercule only rolled his eyes. Now that I cracked that stomach case, I had to get an article ready for the Rodents Gazette. The whole way back to the farm, I jotted things down. I jotted down notes. I was so busy writing down my thoughts I didn't even have time to get airsick. Long live Stilton Farm Honey. A week later, I was hosting a party at Stilton Farm to celebrate the success of the new honey business. And I even decided to wear my special bee suit again. We were also cheering the defeat of Madame No with her fake honey off the market. Our business was booming, and the Rodents Gazette article about being mine had saved many rodents about getting sick on bad honey. This was the last week of my vacation, and I was still sad I wouldn't be here every day. But I'd still be coming as often as I could. Trap and I were going to take turns caring for the beehives. Alphine and Malene said they wanted to help out us too. Grandfather William patted me on the back. Well done, grandson. The Rodents Gazette published an impressive scoop. Just then, Trap called the rodents to attention by banging a spoon on her lid. It's time for the picnic lunch, he called. I made 3 different cheese and honey desserts. We had all been enjoying the party. Hercule had been repairing the bee bots and he was wearing his bee suit again. Of course, and many of the bee bots had wings, antennas, and stingers that needed fixing. Madame No hadn't been taking very good care for robotic workers. Hercule claimed he could even understand what they said when they buzzed. I wasn't so sure about that, but maybe he was right. As I walked over to him, a group of bee bots presented Hercule with a fresh flower garland. He happily put it around his neck, and then he listened, smiling as they buzzed something into his ears. The Beebots have a special request, Geronimo, he said. They said they'd like to stay at Stilton Farm and help out with the honey. I grinned, of course. All the bees are welcomed here. I think this is the beginning of a very beautiful friendship. Haha, we love bees. This party is sweet. Honey is so sweet. Oh my, what a treat. Thanks so much. 3 cheers for Stilton Farm. And that's the end of this book, Geronimo, Stilton, and the Sticky Situation. I hope you enjoyed this read aloud. Stay safe and have a good day.